welcome.
Hi, everybody. This is the last Metroid game, in terms of the series' own chronology. I'm still hoping we get a sequel to this, but this is what we got for now.
One day, maybe.
I know, right? The plot here is actually very cool, as we'll see. There's a lot of room to go after this game. So I'm hoping that maybe Prime 4 pushes us in that direction.
I mean, why don't we have a Metroid game coming out on the Switch?
We do. Metroid Prime 4 is Switch.
Yeah, but isn't that just a remake?
No, it's a new game.
Oh, it is? Okay, so...
It's a new 3D shooter game. It's not like a new 2D Metroid game.
Oh.
But
it
counts.
We need a new 2D Metroid then.
This should be just like Prime 1 and Fusion. They should release both at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. In case you missed it, by the way, Samus is on a routine visit to the planet she was on in Metroid 2, only to find that, here, she gets infected by this thing. And it turns out the Metroids that she killed 2 games ago were the natural parasites of these things, and now these weird little organisms have taken over the planet.
Butterfly effect!
That's right.
Except the butterfly is like a hideous parasitic monster.
Yeah. Now, if you have Metroid Prime Trilogy, you can play with the new cool suit she's about to get in Metroid Prime, which is pretty awesome. I highly recommend that. It looks really good in 3D. There is a lot more narrative, like exposition going on here than in previous games. I suppose Super Metroid starts with a big text dump as well. It just recounts the other 2 games.
Yeah, it's kind of similar.
We get a more involved piece of music here.
It just keeps climbing.
Yeah. And now we're going to descend back down, musically speaking.
It's kind of interesting. I want it to be creepier than it is.
I think this is by far the creepiest of the Metroid games, and that includes all 3 Prime games.
Well, certainly having these things inside her is kind of creepy. But this piece of music isn't really creeping me out.
We'll get to cool... Have you seen this game before, Dana?
Nope.
Okay. We'll get to cool, creepy stuff.
I can't wait. There's nothing I like more.
While we have this giant text dump, by the way, tonight's drink is the Alaskan Winter.
Okay.
Which is excellent.
I am drinking Ace Pineapple Cider and a very flat polar seltzer. That, because I bought a big bottle, I'm drinking a liter of flat seltzer. It's basically just water now.
Okay.
I was very disappointed, but I wasn't going to go back to the store. So
For those people keeping track, by the way, the condition of her taking the ship, remember that, like, a couple days ago now, she crashed her ship in an asteroid belt, the one we're familiar with. So the Federation she works for now and then, she's on a loaner ship. The purple one.
And the controls are different. It's like how I've been playing on borrowed violin bows lately.
Yeah.
Like, the mechanics are basically the same, but they handle different.
So, I'm late to the conversation here, but I'm just sitting here with orange juice, and I feel like I'm doing this completely wrong.
Do you have anything to put in that?
No, not in the house right now. I need to stock up.
Well, the flat seltzer I'm drinking is orange vanilla, so that's pretty close.
Why is there so many different flavors of seltzer?
Because they're amazing. Some of them more so than others.
Reba Visner found coffee-flavored seltzer, which sounds like my idea of hell.
I'd try it. I bet it mixes well.
See, Jarel's with me.
So, and some people are really grossed out by, like, egg creams, which it's a funny name because they don't have eggs in them, but it's, milk. It's like chocolate milk, but you put some seltzer in it, so it's got a little fizz. Gives it kind of a malt texture. I could see using a coffee seltzer in something like that.
Okay, maybe. So this game is significantly different from the others in that we're going to visit those navigation rooms constantly and talk to our computer all the time to be told what to do and where to go.
I liked the only diegetic audio in that room too. That's reminiscent of the earlier game. Things don't look so good. All the tanks were cracked.
Yeah, these two rooms are really bad. I will say this is one of the best looking games on the Game Boy Advance. The backgrounds are really detailed. And really quickly, you'll notice that they bothered to make different animations for Samus running left and right. When she runs to the right, the gun is in the foreground. When she runs to the left, the gun is in the background. Most 2D games don't do that. Most simply mirror the animations. The polish here is, like, super high.
Yeah, her suit's really cool too. I like all the color. They can absorb DNA. What?
Yeah, you can just kill the X-parasites by touching them now, because you're like part Metroid now.
Oh, you're part Metroid. Dang. Okay.
Yeah, that's the story of this game. As that giant text dump, when she gets infected, they make a cell culture from the research they had on the last Metroid she saved and inject her with it to save her life.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's when she was talking about one thing dying and her being reborn is a new thing. I didn't catch everything.
That's right.
In the text dump.
And she has like not all of her powers as a result of that either. There's like a good reason for her to have low power now. It's here.
Again, this sounds good so far.
The Game Boy Advance is not well known for its awesome sound quality, but I think they make the best of it here. This little boisterous, adventurous theme is like the main theme of the game.
And they could have gone with so many other classics from the series, although I guess we're on a ship. We're on the ship right now.
Yeah, we are on a research station orbiting the planet from Metroid 2.
Okay.
SR-388. Which is the home planet of the Metroids.
It's kind of a boring name for their planet.
I
We
know.
could have asked them what they call it in their language.
The game gets a lot of flack for having a lot of text exposition, but the gameplay is really good, and I don't mind a little bit more directed play. But it's not as freeform by any means as the other Metroid games, as you'll see shortly.
Which is strange, considering we now talk about Metroidvania games as a genre.
Right.
I have to say that was a hilarious mental image. I know, like, we should ask the Chozo, because they were the ones originally on this planet, but I just thought of asking the Metroids what they think the name of their planet is.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, what's this place called? And then it just glomps on top of you and it kills you.
We're the Chozo
And then it just
on...
makes that Metroid noise like...
Yeah.
The Chozo were on SR-388, because there's Chozo statues in Metroid 2, I guess.
Mhm.
In terms of the larger canon, is the Chozo homeworld Talon 4, the Metroid Prime planet?
It's confusing.
Yeah.
I think Prime implies that that's sort of a colony that they did a lot with, but Zebus is still technically their homeworld, I believe.
Okay.
And we're not even sure of that.
I mean, the Chozo are pretty advanced. Like, we've been all over.
This game is by far the hardest. of the 4 Metroid games that we've done. Like, just these random zombies will hit you for like 25 health, and they're the first enemies in the game.
That's not nice.
You notice how it comes back to life because more
And they
X
come back,
parasites
yeah, that
infest
sucks.
the body. Almost every enemy in the game does that, and if I don't collect those, watch, they'll just fly back and re-inhabit.
Ugh, that's obnoxious. We're not getting any of the classic themes. There's
We'll get that, but for major
Yep.
upgrades. We don't get that
Okay.
for minor things like missile tanks, which is good, actually. Like, that is a welcome change.
Ooh, you hear that like infected sound? That's great. I don't want a Mega Man block.
I ran out of missiles, so I have to get that free floating green head before I can kill this thing. There.
All your classic boss name moments there. Low, insistent baseline.
I really like that bass sound at the end of the traditional fanfare. Wow, wow. It's really good.
Ooh, hello, minor second. Oh, that dissonance.
First time I played this game, it took me so long to kill because I never played Metroid 2, so I had no idea how to even begin to fight him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's always interesting to consider these games from the standpoint of, you know, having been previously kind of inducted into a franchise versus if this is the first one you play.
Mm.
Some games are very careful and aware that it might be your first one, and they try to give you enough tutorial. And there are other ones that are just like, we're gonna drop you in and see what happens.
Yeah,
I think
this is definitely one of those. I mean, it makes efforts. But
of
it's
the
still,
2 games, remember that this and Metroid Prime came out on the same day? Prime is for new players. This was for experts. And
Yeah, because I mean, most other games, if they're aware that you're new to it, they're gonna teach you every mechanic by like giving you an opportunity. They're gonna show you first, and then they're gonna have you do like a little boss with it, or you know,
Yeah.
have some sort of process. Go.
so here's the game's main gimmick. The thing that caused the power outage earlier
What?
is Samus.
Why, hello there. She doesn't look good. Is she supposed to have dead eyes?
It's her suit parts from the surgery she had, infested by the X parasites.
Oh, jeez. So is this gonna be like Link 2, where we're like fighting Shadow Samus at the end? And it's us in the suit?
Yes, except this game actually does it far better than any of the Prime games. There will be a number of encounters with that thing later, which I will do my best to not have.
I loved Dark Samus as a character, but the whole mentality of an evil Samus stalking you was done so
horrifying.
much better. It was done so much better in this game than it ever was in Metroid Prime 2.
Yeah. And Prime 3 just felt like they had run out of ideas, honestly.
Yeah.
So here's Sector 1, and you'll notice that each of the sectors is separated by an elevator that goes to a central hub. So at least at the start of the game, you cannot transit between them unless you have the computer's permission to do so. Again, this is a much more linear game. But Sector 1 here is a simulation of... Hold on, we gotta get away from the big thing. Of the SR-388 breeding environment.
Ooh, this is cool. Those parasites, I love how they like glitch everything out. It's like a very video gamey parasite to have.
Yeah, for sure. So you might recognize these backgrounds and these environments and enemies from Metroid 2 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, aren't we on a space station?
We are. We're on a space station.
Have we just like stolen bits? Oh, hey, space pirates.
We're on a space station that simulates the
environment.
planet's environment. There's like growth chambers.
Everything just looks so healthy.
But the attention to detail is pretty good. To like remind you this is a simulation, you can see like the pipes and the fans moving. Push all the air around. Again, the level of polish here is kind of outrageous.
So it's interesting, like I get that we're going for ominous here, but the music is kind of full-on apocalyptic. I think the level of just intense chromaticism and half-step motion happening is reading a little to me like the catastrophe has already happened, which is maybe what they're going for.
Yeah, I think this particular piece, like, is a bigger emergency than, like, some fans are acting up.
Yeah.
Because right now, I don't know if you caught the text, I'm fixing the air purifiers on this sector.
Right. Like, this to me is a little bit more like some sort of catastrophic event happened and everybody's dead. And you're, you know, wandering through the ship finding dead bodies. I don't know, it's like it's not quite... If anything, it's giving you more of a sense of... I mean, we just saw evil Samus, so it does kind of imply that he's stalking, I guess.
Right, and the game has not actually acknowledged it yet to Samus or the computer.
Right, they just showed her it.
Only the player has seen it, right?
Yeah. I like that reuse of that effect. They use that for bosses in... Hello. This might be an interesting addendum to my disease chapter. A lot of the music seems like it's carrying bits of kind of glitching and infected.
There's a lot of that going on in this soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This chapter needs a little polish, so maybe I'll do a little digression on this game. So I'm interested in how these, you know, this parasitic thing. I mean, they talk about it getting into her bloodstream. Like, are we supposed to assume it's basically a bacteria? Like, but also has macro?
They don't get into the specific biology of it, which is good.
Yeah.
Because Addie tends to dislike it when games try to do too much science and explain it, because invariably they do it poorly.
There's a certain level of disbelief you have to take with this, suspension of disbelief, because, I mean, the game sort of acts like it's a bacteria, but then in the case of the evil Samus, SAX, it's like that thing is walking around practically sentient.
Right.
What kind of bacteria gives armor sentience?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they also it seems like it exists in both like these micro and macro, like super macro forms. So like the same creature is both of those things. But at the same time, I'm like, epidemiologists, hit me up. What's up in this?
One of the definite interesting things about this game is the composers involved. So Kenji Yamamoto and Minako Hamano did Super Metroid. And for Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion, the two basically split up, and one did each. So it's very interesting to listen to this game and hear what Minako Hamano basically did on her own, as compared to what the two of them previously did together. And I felt it was interesting for the
Metroid too. Like that game is just like unparalleled in that soundscape.
Yeah, all the choral stuff that we associate with the Metroid franchise that we've been talking about for a few weeks is gone here.
Yeah. It's funny, it's almost like, you know, in that game we kept talking about kind of the biological and the technical. The computery stuff and like that creepiness and the sound effects versus the voices and the human body. And this game is like just the tech side of it for the most part. So are the other games much more choral?
Metroid Prime, I think, is by far the most choral of all of them. Don't you think so, Jarel?
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting if we want to get like, if we really want to essentialize these two.
I love that stinger.
That's so good. Those eyes, those dead eyes. Oof.
Now, what's fun about it is that it is you at full power from the end of Super Metroid, right?
Oh, man.
Which means I suck right now compared to it. And as the text rolls by, now that I've got the Metroid serum, I'm vulnerable to ice, which of course it has. So this is a fun way, by the way, to give you a little bit of exploration. You're supposed to get to that room, but you know it's locked, and you have to find the spot that will unlock it, which is not marked on the map. So they're like, it's somewhere in this tiny little box of rooms, go figure it out. So it's like a tiny Metroid game within the larger game. And I say that it's a good idea. In practice, it's almost always on the opposite end of the map from the door. So, like, the door we have to get to is in the lower left. We'll be going to the upper right.
I enjoyed the high strings in that whole, like, computer freaking moment. And it wasn't a stinger string, it wasn't, you know, psycho. But it was just kind of that high drone. Is it still a drone if it's super high?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or do we have to call it, at that point, do we call it like an ostinato even if it doesn't move?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a drone. That's one of my favorite stingers in all of films and games, though. The stinger when they announced the SAX right there is really good.
That is awesome. It's such a common tactic, but I don't know that I've heard people call it anything in particular. It's got that, it like almost like reminds me of like that you have the fourth movement representing post-arthritis. The violinist sits on a really high harmonic, and everybody else is moving around, like happening. So like bringing in the ears that was happening.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's just as unsettling.
Alright, well now we have the charge beam and bombs, so like we're good to go as far as the Metroid basics are concerned. Oh, listen, did you hear the footsteps moving away from this wrecked site? You'll hear them again soon, but the game is all about telling you that that evil Samus is around.
Oh god.
Far more than any other Metroid game, by the way, the charge beam here is worth 4 or 5 regular shots compared to when it's usually worth 2 or 3 in all the other games.
Wow.
So, like, you have to use it here. See, 1 charge beam or 2 missiles, which would have been unheard of in any of the other games.
Yeah.
Sadly, it means we're going to listen to that annoying ostinato sound effect a lot.
Ooh, this is a cool environment.
This is a really cool tropical environment.
I'm really enjoying the spread of register here. Like, just that constant.
They really fill the whole soundscape in terms
Yeah.
of register and range here, which is nice.
They're used the low end particularly well. Which, again, this is generalized. I think it's kind of a Game Boy thing. The low sounds tend to carry a little better on that particular system.
Yeah. And I should mention that Metroid Fusion includes a sound option for headphones to give you stereo sound, and I've told it to do that.
Okay.
Most Game Boy games don't assume a stereo soundscape, nor do they give you an option for it.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very, very frustrating thing.
I know, because I play my Vita and my... Well, Vita's better about it, but Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, I play with headphones all the time. Quick speedrunning thing. By the way, this version of the charge beam, when I shoot it, there's like a crescent-shaped slash right at Samus's melee range. That also does damage, so you can kill those gates in one hit if you hit with that and the beam simultaneously.
Whoa. This looks like some like 80s toy for like a little girl gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Like, and it comes with like a brush where you can like brush her tentacle hair and like put it and like do it up the way you want it. And then it comes with a matching set so you can do your hair the same way. But then this one like morphed and got like weird tentacle claw feet.
I really want somebody to make an actual toy out of this thing.
Like it used to just be a cute doll and now it's just like horrifying. Or it's like, if you ever find like one of those talking toys, again from the 80s, and it still works, but the sound chip is a little degraded. I don't know if this has happened to anybody, but we had this this Steve Urkel doll that was in our attic. So like many, hot weather, cold weather, the attic was not the most insulated. And we found it many, many, many years later, and it was like a pull cord, and then it would say like Steve Urkel catchphrases. It would be like, did I do that? But the sound chip had degraded so far that it was like the creepiest thing. I wish I'd recorded it.
That's awesome. By the way, right here's your first big scare. Check this out.
Uh-oh. 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 Don't make too much noise.
If you bomb this, you'll fall down and you will die.
Oh, jeez.
You gotta
A
follow
little
it.
more time. Can you, give her a little more time to get ahead of you?
I love how big those footsteps are made to sound on the tiny Game Boy Advance speakers. There is a unique musical track that plays when you get caught, by the way. And the next time we find her, I will purposely get caught so that we hear it.
Are you gonna say it first?
Yes, and I like to do it the second time, because the second time it's not a dead end like that is. You're really boned if you do that one early.
Yeah.
By the way, these cocoons, or chrysalises, I guess, you'll notice there's things moving in those. The next time we come here, they're gonna be hatched, and we're gonna have to fight a new set of enemies.
Got a lot of horror tropes up in here.
I know.
Infection and hatching and...
Alright, so
I
now
like
because
the computer sounds here. Uh-oh.
now because you opened the blue doors, right, you've let the X into other parts of the ship.
Oh, good.
So now we're gonna go deal with him elsewhere.
I love it.
It's a really good, like, horror trope piece of music.
Yeah, yeah.
I like
It's not just the
This-
high.
this
strings.
almost silent ambient track is surprisingly good for what it is. Like, you're in a spaceship research station, right?
Yeah, I mean it's similar to being on the research station at the beginning of Super Metroid too.
Yeah.
It's definitely in that spiritual successor.
I like the text just now that mentions where Samus is just like, that thing is a killing machine, says the woman who's blown up several planets.
Takes one to know one.
Yeah, I think her planet count at this point is what? 3 or 4?
That's more than the Empire in Star Wars has managed to blow up.
I think her planet count at this point is only one that she triggered. She was just there when the other two happened.
The Force is strong with this one.
That's right, because she only purposely blows up the one at Metroid Prime 3, right?
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Or,
And
I
Super
guess you didn't
Metroid,
count-
so 2.
do you want to count Metroid Prime 2? Because she took the ether or the energy back at the end, which caused the destruction of that.
Yeah,
She
okay.
does not have a good track.
3 planets. 3... No, that's not a good sign. And if memory serves, Talon 4 is not specifically her fault. Like, the Chozo had the failsafe put in.
Yeah, and Talon 4 was also, it was just like one part of Talon 4 that was blown up. It wasn't the whole planet, so.
Right.
I can't believe I'm sitting here trying to decide which ones of those were her fault. I mean, just.
Well, you know, if she's gonna go around name calling,
Wait, no,
then
this-
I think it's fair to be like, she learned it from you.
By the way,
Or
this
it, I
version of
guess.
the beam, you'll notice that there's 2 halves of it. You can hit with only one half or both halves, so accuracy matters much more than it usually does in 2D games.
There's that great low end again, and it's not staying still, but it's kind of like melting up. So good. Oh, I've never liked the sounds of her getting hurt. It's like a punch in the chest. Because it's like a whimper. They always gave her a bit of a whimper.
Yeah.
So that room confused me because before I played Metroid Fusion, I played Fusion way late. I actually played Aria of Sorrow first.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
in many of the Castlevania games on Game Boy Advance, they subtly hint at like walls and stuff you can get past by changing the color of the outline.
Yeah.
But if you look here, pretty much everything has a slight red outline. So that room you were
help.
just in had like the red outline along the blocks in the middle there. And I can't remember if you can ever actually powerbomb to get through those. I think you can't, but I assumed you could. And I spent forever trying to get through that room.
Even if you can powerbomb to get through it, by the time you have power bombs, you should never need to visit that spot again.
That's true.
Right? And we will
Is that
visit
water
that.
electrified, by the way, that you were just over?
Yes,
Yep.
it is. The computer warns you of that when you get here.
It's just like, it looks like electricity. They did a really nice job with that. Like, it looks like an electrical waveform on
yeah.
top of implying water.
You'll get a better look at that water really shortly, actually. And as for Jarel's issue with that energy tank, we're about to emerge on the other side of that wall.
Ooh. Okay. That's good.
That's the thing we were supposed to find. Here's the red outline. And Jarel's totally right. This looks like an Aria of Sorrow, specifically, you'd be able to get by this if you had the right skill.
Right.
But you can't here.
Yeah, everything.
And I think I also played Aria of Sorrow first. So, yes, I totally get why that is confusing. Oh, I forgot to do the charge beam trick, even though I talked about it. There we go. We'll do it here on this boss.
Ooh, water boss.
So, because we played AM2R and not Metroid 2, we have seen this guy before 2 weeks ago. He was added to AM2R because of his abilities.
Oh, that's quick, buddy. Okay, now what is this track? It's still like, am I in the club right now? Like, this is so. This is stupid. This is not a boss thing. This is good.
Yeah, this is totally like an EDM club piece.
Yeah. Like, this should be like behind some sort of puzzle game level to like keep you motivated, you know? It's not like it's cool. I'm not saying it's not an awesome track. It's missing some of the creepiness that she excels at in so many other places. I love that little field position she was in, as she was like receiving the power boost. Caught her, she's throwing it.
Here we go. So I've got Speed Booster now, and it's a lot stricter here than it is in most of the other games we've seen.
Yeah, I really like that. Wah! That bass line is so good.
Yeah, the bass here is really amazing.
So, Samus Returns really tricked me out with their version of the speed boost, which is not a speed boost per se, but it's the Aeon ability that slows time down, so it's the reverse.
Right.
And I didn't realize until like long after I picked up the item, I was like, oh wait, I'm supposed to slow down time and then run at normal speed across all those bridges.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that water looks like it's telling you about the static or like a noise channel activating.
Yeah.
And the little bits of yellow flowing through it, you're like, okay, that's electrified. I wish I could do that.
The giant shoulder charge of destiny.
Yeah. I'd get around some quicker. So are the green versus the yellow ones particularly different?
Green versus yellow which now?
Of the parasite guys, as you collect them. Some of them are kind of gold. And some are
Green gives you missiles, yellow gives you health.
Oh, okay, nice.
Which is not really indicative of anything at all, because the energy bar is red and the missiles have a pink tip, so that doesn't
Right.
help.
Yeah, not good.
And if anything, you'd expect the green to be health.
Mm.
Right.
Like, I could totally see yellow as a missile for whatever reason.
Also, us old school Metro gamers are used to yellow as power bombs,
Yeah,
so
Right.
that doesn't help either.
yeah.
And you'll notice that all the door colors here are not bound by weapons, they're bound by whether or not the computer has decided I'm allowed to open the damn doors. By the way, if you want to know how far I am along the game, we visit every sector twice.
Okay.
So, we're doing all right. In some places, we'll go faster than others. Like, this trip here is pretty quick, I think. Oh, I gotta stop at the navigation room, though.
I just came up with the best idea for a YouTube video.
What's up?
So, do we call her Sax?
The fan nickname back in the day was Saxy.
Saxy? Okay. So, I just want one of those videos, like, I want to take footage of her just, like, walking creepily in that room, but set it to, like, the saxophone solo from Careless Whisper. Or, like, insert any other amazing saxophone solo from the 80s.
Nice.
That would just make me so happy. I just searched it on YouTube and nothing came up, so... You know, the fandoms let me down here. And they rarely do that. Oh my god, Yakety Sax is even better. Excellent suggestions from Danny in the chat.
Yes, I agree. Yakety Sax is the
Yakety
best.
Sax! Oh my god, I'm gonna, like, clip this video.
I was about to say the sax solo from Duran Duran's Rio, but I feel like Yakety Sax is the best option.
Is there any good chase footage in this game? Of, like, her actually chasing it?
Yep, we'll get
That
there.
would be amazing. Oh my god. Alright, so I'm gonna, like, grab a long play video and then set that music to it. Seems like a good spring project, right?
Oh, wait. I go up this time.
Thanks. Creepy.
I think, right? Yeah, up. Down is the next time I visit this area.
They really ought to see a dentist. Their teeth are very green.
Here's a little bit of the coral stuff, by the way. But you'll notice that, like, it's still super creepy. Which is impressive. That slow rising stuff that doesn't resolve anywhere.
And again, we've got a low drone under everything.
Yeah, I don't know how they get such a big base out of the Game Boy Advance, but it's really good. Nutritious, it turns out I'm just good at the Metroid games.
Again, I'm responding, like, vehemently, like, no speed running.
Well, we are running pretty damn fast for what it's worth, Dana.
That's true. I have not really stopped and done much music. Trying.
But whenever I need to stop, I stop. The Zelda run was kind of ridiculous. By the way, I sometimes die here, so better safe than sorry. We're gonna save.
Link to the Past was so hard, and I know that game so well that I've never speedrun it or.
So I like how Juan just asked in Twitch chat, "What is your least favorite boss in Metroid Fusion?" I'm like, "Just save your state here," so that's a pretty good indication.
My least favorite Fusion boss? I don't know. This robot, yeah, it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
I think I like the robot less the second time you fight it, and you do fight that annoying thing twice.
Oh.
So now we're done.
Oh, wait, that's loud. Why am I not hearing that through my headphones?
Oh, what?
YouTube.
What's up? I might use a recharge room next time, by the way. I'm getting low on missiles. I don't want to run out and embarrass myself. I love that blop, 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 blop. Out of tune.
Yeah. I like that. It reminds me of the guy in Spaceballs that does all of the sound effects with his just like makes all the sound effects. He's like, oh, you know, the bleeps and the creeps and the sweeps.
Do we
And
owe
he's
all of that
amazing.
type of stuff to Star Wars? Is that why we understand that sound to be computer sound? What does what does 2001 sound like with the computer when it's like being good?
Well, 2001 had the voice interface. I mostly remember HAL. I don't really remember a lot of other computer sounds. Early Star Trek though had a lot of flippy computer sounds, so that would have been earlier.
Yeah.
And kind of like that, the whirring, like the woo woo.
Oh,
woo.
here we go. This
Like-
is important. This track is really awesome for what it accompanies too.
Ooh. Bum, 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 bum.
It's like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I could have found it last week. Something was Twilight Zone-y.
I like, by the way, that that's all it gives you. And then it's like, okay, go do your job.
Bum, 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 bum. Man.
Alright, so now we visited 4 of the 6 zones. We're doing pretty well. You get what I'll call one normal visit to each one, and then one, wait, what's going on here, visit to each one.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, here there's ice X-parasites, which will freeze you and kill you if you touch them.
Good.
So from a gameplay perspective, you've been training yourself for like a long while now to grab those, and now you have to actively avoid them.
Yeah.
We are going to stop here and fill the missiles up. There you go.
I like how this is a heroic theme, but it's a little screwed up.
I like this theme. We'll come back for that later, I just wanted to open it. There's the big blue ice
Random
ones.
percussion. Yeah, we keep having these minor second intervals juxtaposed against each other.
Ah, got hit by one. They do a lot of damage if they touch you.
Yeah, that was like full energy tank.
Yeah. It's like, don't mess up. Speaking of which.
Okay, Google.
Here's a don't mess up moment for you. Look, you can't get through here. You need power bombs. Guess who's got power bombs?
Ah!
Now you're stuck underneath it?
She walks so slow. Oh, actually, I was gonna find out the game called SAX.
Watch this.
Dang. Did you notice that? Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Okay.
Hey, we can safely listen to this for a minute now, because I've confused it. By the way, I can't damage it in any way. If I go back over there, I will die immediately. I took one hit from her, and look at my health.
This reminds me of like an organ player in a sports game.
I've never thought of it that way before.
Bum, 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 bum. Like, it's just gonna keep going up and up and up. Da, 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 da. Charge! And she charges at you, so it makes sense.
So what happened there is that X-Parasite stole my upgrade. Look, it's got the various suit.
But at least you can actually get the various suit in this game, and you don't have to go through a superheated area and wait for Adam to tell you to turn it on.
I know, right? That's what surprised me the most about Other M, actually. I think if you would take out that one sequence, the game's rating would improve by 3 points from every reviewer who reviewed it.
Okay, so I'm detecting two major legal thesis statements for this game, and chat can agree with me or disagree with me, but I think that we're kind of implying, like, kind of interior-exterior, or, you know, distance and proximity, because we're either having stuff that is very close and chromatic, and moving, like, by tiny, tiny steps, or we are jumping in a sort of random computerized fashion with larger intervals that are meant to be able to be distant and confusing.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable.
So whereas some of the other games we've talked about setting up a juxtaposition between the organic and the inorganic, the forms, the more computerized soundscape. This one is doing everything with the tonal space.
Oop, I have to go up.
It's using it in 2 different ways. I didn't take a listen to the music, but that's...
The other thing I feel this acknowledges really well as a game that we haven't touched on yet is that Metroid started out in many ways as a tribute to Alien as a film, and this is the game that really acknowledges that.
Yeah.
So I promised we would revisit this spot. I blew it up to remind myself not to forget. Just a hidden missile tank. Alright, and because this is a video game, now we have a cold world as our last sector. And now that we have the Varia, we can go there.
Yeah, I want to transcribe this track. Everything about this is like taking a heroic trope and effing it up a little bit.
Do you know what other
There's
track I feel that way about?
it.
Is, have you stopped and really listened to Superman's theme in the modern DC cinematic universe? The theme from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman?
No, not the newer ones.
Superman's theme there is really complicated, and it's really fantastic. I don't care for it in terms of it representing Superman, but I love the idea of... I wrote on it once for Polygon. I wrote, this is a Superman who is capable of great things, but who is not defined by them. Because it has this weird minor turn in the melody. That's just fantastic, and this theme does the same type of thing. Like, it takes a heroic trope and makes it not worse, but like not clearly good. Though in Superman's case, I would argue Superman needs to be clearly good. That's kind of what he's about.
Yeah. See if there is. Looks like the only fan transcription up from the game is Final Mission.
Really? VG Music doesn't have anything for this?
I'm looking at Min Sheet Music, which is one of my favorites for fan transcriptions.
Oh, okay.
And they have a bunch of the other games, but not. They only have the Final Mission theme from Fusion.
If you're really good at telling Finale to quantize things, VGMusic.com has an impressive array of MIDI files that you can do that with.
I don't trust that. I don't know. I've been burned so many times trying to quantize MIDI. I don't trust it anymore. I take the SPC or the NSF or whatever file. I go channel by channel and I do it myself. Then at least I know if there's anything wrong in it, it's my fault. You know? And it's not due to me being too lazy to, like, work through it. But also, I don't just do that so that I feel good about myself. It's also, I end up doing the process.
So I'm going to be very biased for a second and just say, if you need to go to VGMusic.com and you're worried about that, look for something that I wrote and quantize that, and you should be all right.
It's
well,
true.
Apparently you saved the day on Ryan's transcriptions for this chapter, so I believe
God,
that.
yeah, that Final Fantasy VI piece that I just did not want to do or wasn't happening. God, yeah, that helped so much.
I should mention, though, that you can't even trust all of my stuff, though, because I didn't start getting, like, really accurate with my transcriptions until weeks later. So a lot of my earlier stuff on VG Music is very inaccurate. Even the stuff that wasn't just mixes, like things that were just like supposedly fake.
There are people who are consistently good on VG Music, people who are consistently bad.
Yeah, but I'll refer to fan transcriptions more as a performer than as a musicologist. Like, I will get other people's, if I'm using them, because a lot of the transcriptions are to make a playable version. So that's the other reason. When I'm doing a transcription, it's a
See, and part of it is, like, I despise transcription, and there are people in the field and people I know who are really good at it. I'm not that. I can do it, but it's like getting my teeth cleaned, like something you have to do. It's not something I like doing.
Yeah. I guess for me, it's, well, Steve calls, or was it Julianne on the stream weeks and weeks ago called me a closet tourist. So I'm really for that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
That's
just saying.
Some of my own conception of what's happening. Something a piece of music is doing. Instead, they talk about like what people do with music or how it's being used or live, ruined, or it's all about what people do with it. And maybe someday I'll do that, but it's a little bit of a. I don't feel like I'm actually doing musicology unless I'm talking about music. To say other people that do that aren't doing musicology. It's a little weirdness.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
I guess everybody has those things that you're like, unless I'm doing something this way.
Oh, right. I forgot. You have to go the other way the second time. Gotta go this way.
That was a really cool method of teaching you what you need to do there.
Yeah, the game forces you to learn it again here.
Oh god, you know what this reminds me of? Hold on.
Open that. While it's frozen, you can run across the gap, and as a result, build up a speed charge to get through this wall here.
Why we don't need to be extended. The song's not that long. This reminds me of a Björk song.
This
Remember that
piece
other
does?
time? Yes. Remember that other time that I made us listen to a song by her on the stream, and everyone was like, "Why are we doing this?"
Yep.
This reminds me of Frosty. It's the tambourine mostly, which is perfect because it's icy.
So, as a speedrunner, one of my big pet peeves is ice upgrades that you can't turn off. And now, because as I'm running, if I shoot a missile down, it's gonna ice them, which means I can't keep running. And yes, I realize that's super picky, but too bad. By the way, the vocal sample there is really good.
Yeah. Hello.
Emergency in Sector 3. Emergency
Okay,
in Sector
this is a
3.
good example of what I was talking about. So we have the lead bang here. Now we're back to the half step. So that's all like very tight motion, and then we start expanding outward and making bigger and bigger leaps.
Yep.
6 minutes to
Just
main
an
boiler
intensification of
explosion.
tentacle screams at the same time into something very tense.
Worth noting that 6 minutes is the longest countdown timer of any of the countdown events in the Metroid games.
Yeah. Obviously, you need it, right?
My
How
first
fast do people do this when they're speedrunning?
my first trip to this sector took me about 6 minutes. I can't believe I messed up the speed boost and I was gonna kill my time.
Main boiler explosion.
As if the countdown and all that wasn't creepy enough, now you know like all the things that are wrong with the ship. It's like getting announced to you.
I know.
All of this just looks so unhealthy. Uh-oh. Nice little horn moment in there. At least what I'm assuming is kind of horn-like.
I agree with the assessment from chat, by the way. The 6 minute timer is pretty generous. Because what am I at now? 4 minutes?
Yeah.
There's probably a full 20 seconds of improvement, if not more, that I could have had.
Was that a scientist that was infected that you just blew up?
Explosion.
It was an X impersonating a scientist.
Yeah. Because they have a little lab coat and everything.
Yeah, my beam upgrade was like gonna blow up the ship.
dramatically.
That sounded very F-Zero-ish.
Yeah, it does. I really like the effect of going through here without all the superheated effect in the background. For that
Right.
one room. Like, things feel less tense now as a result.
I mean, this room's still pretty hot.
Yeah, but giving you the one room break helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
I think this is the last of this sector we're gonna see in this run, by the way. There might be a brief moment where we, like, run through it, but I think we're done doing stuff here. One up.
I was gonna say, with the superheated effect, if these things are some sort of illness, wouldn't heat help? Couldn't we just superheat the whole station and, like, kill all of the...
Yeah, but then the station will explode, and that is bad because I'm on it right now.
Says the woman who's blown up 3 planets? Again. Why
Fair.
doesn't she just get off the ship and then blow it up? Like, yeah, you probably wasted, like, millions of space bucks from whatever society put up the money to build this thing, but not doing great anyway.
I forget what sector we go to next. We'll have to see. Oh, that's right. Up on the main deck again. This is why I got the long ending to Super Metroid last week.
Yeah, I'm convinced most of what has been making me say that it's kind of a screwed up heroic theme is harmonic.
I think that's likely.
Like, chords are just resolving a little strangely. So I'll transcribe this one, I'll figure out what's weird about it, I'll make like a super normal version. Like, here's the happy normal one! And everyone will be like, it'll sound like it comes from a totally different game as a result. It's like those music videos where they the mode of a pop song. So like,
Yeah.
Or Losing My Religion in Major. I love that one.
Oh, I've never heard that. That sounds very interesting.
Here, I'll post the link in chat. It's like, it just sounds like a little bit perturbed. Like, instead of... So good.
So see those critters? That's what we saw the life signs of. They're the critters we rescue at the end of Super Metroid.
Because we save the animals, as you always should. If you're not a
Believe that
super...
people vote with their money to not save animals.
Yeah. I mean, you really consider frames more important than these beautiful living creatures?
Yes.
Shame on you.
Ryan has a heart.
Alright. Here we go.
Tire swing.
I know, right? The little Edacoons have a tire swing to play on.
Oh my god, they're so cute.
So
Hello?
in Super Metroid, we didn't visit the chambers that house these things. But you can find them, they'll teach you to use the speed booster and how to wall jump. Because they do those things, and the idea is that you're supposed to watch them. And therefore figure it out. Juan, I actually like that part a lot because I practiced for a long, long time. I'm not doing it on stream tonight, but I have done the giant Shine Spark boost in the part that you're talking about.
I have never pulled that off, and I will probably never bother to try.
Even if I use save states, it'll add 25 minutes to the run, so we're not doing it tonight.
Whoa. It's intense.
What I might do is pause the stream and play the YouTube video of it.
Yeah. That would be fine.
Yay, power bombs. Yes, now we have our revisit to Sector 5.
Alright, I'll be back. I gotta reload.
Alright. I'm kind of excited we're switching back to Final Fantasy IV next week because it provides me more opportunity to like refill drinks and whatnot.
Yeah, you're kind of limited in what you can do when you're busy with this nonstop in one run.
Right, right. Well, especially because also I know I'm not finishing Final Fantasy IV in a single night. There's no pressure whatsoever about that.
Or should we, man? we have things to say about those songs.
On the Super Nintendo version, if you would let me skip about half the tracks, I could finish the game in a single evening.
No.
But there's a giant, ridiculous warp.
No, you're not allowed.
Also, why would you skip half the tracks in Final Fantasy? That's ugh.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I'm in general like, please don't skip any tracks ever. Like Joe is very like he'll play games like straight through, and I'm always like, no, you have to go and trigger this thing.
Oh right, I already have access to the data room. I can just go there now. For Spoony Bard, there's a weird glitch in the Super Nintendo version that once you get to the Dwarf Castle, you can instantaneously finish the game from that point. You can warp to X-Death from your first arrival in the Underworld, skip all the intervening 6 crystals,
Yeah, but that's no fun.
and be awesome.
Oh, that's a great sound effect. Kind of like pulsing. That's great. Yeah, there are games that I want to finish quickly. And in general, if we weren't trying to analyze... Oh, wait. Okay. Oh, okay.
I messed up.
Okay.
Okay, we're...
That's not perfect.
Yep, that's why I saved there.
Yeah, that's creepy. That's all get out.
Just so we hear the track again, though. Oh no, I didn't. There.
Oh man. Again, I'm just thinking of like being in a baseball game. Why does this follow me?
Dana remarked on it already, but I love the new countdown for the power bombs.
Mm-hmm.
They
Got
make
such
you
a
feel
rich-
like you just set off something really big.
Yeah. Just because it's low. Low implies like larger size generally, from like a music cognition standpoint.
Yeah.
Because in the animal kingdom, bigger things have lower roars.
So if you're going back to Final Fantasy next week, I have a question.
Yeah.
When are you going to play and discuss the music of Final Fantasy 14 on stream?
Oh, you know, I would love to do 14 actually, but I would have to have an account.
I know the answer is probably never for you because we've talked about this, but
Yeah.
14 really does have surprisingly amazing music, though.
You know what game I'm actually enjoying a lot more than I thought I would? Is I think that 13.2 is really good. Now that I have a computer that can run it.
I've been very interested in those. I've never played any of the 13 series. I especially want to try 13 Lightning Returns because I think that's like a secret Tri-Ace game, basically.
It is basically a secret Tri-Ace game, yeah. That is
So
accurate.
I'm very intrigued by that one.
I actually got it for like next to nothing. Square Enix sold for PC a mystery bundle for Christmas for $12. And it had the new Deus Ex game and Lightning Returns inside.
Nice.
The new Deus Ex game was like the first of the remaked ones, not the new one.
I need to like go back and play something that's just fun and not work.
By the way, we have the mystery music going on again now.
Ooh, back to Twilight Zone here. There's that high.
Look who it is.
Oh, hey.
Hey! Hello, friend. You look icy. Oh, you look dead.
We'll definitely see him again, though.
Indeed.
I said it's gonna be a happy reunion. And everyone will live happily ever after. And nothing will be creepy. Or unsettling.
Not at all. So the plot of the game is about to get very interesting.
So this is where you get the hell off the ship and blow it up.
That would solve
on.
my problems if you did that right now.
Yeah, actually, it would be good if you did that right now. I mean, the main power to the station has now been cut. So no elevators,
Oh,
no
boy.
doors will open.
Ah, so you can't get out.
The cute critters are in the ship now. That's what the ship computer wanted to tell me.
Aw, hey guys!
I love that it jumps in front of the camera.
You're so cute! Well, good.
Oh no, you're right. I forgot the docking bay doors did close. It was probably exactly because the creators of this game thought that very same thing. They were like, we better close the docking bay doors before people start thinking, like, why doesn't she just leave right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's that high. I always thought those things looked so cool. They have like a praying mantis vibe.
Yeah, I really like the space pirate designs as well.
And they're often very colorful, which I appreciate. Actually, this entire game has been very colorful, which I super appreciate in general in gaming.
You're anti, like, super brown?
So many games just have these, like, dour, lifeless color schemes. Like, I don't know, at the Friday night gaming sessions, friend Liam is, like, always doing, like, Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and I'm like, these games are so big. They look amazing, and it's so detailed, and it's like, I can't imagine that, like, a big screen being that big.
I have not played Bloodborne, and I need to. I got it for free from PlayStation
Oh,
Plus.
man. Punishing games. Just punishing.
I'm down for that, though. I agree with Danny, by the way, this is the coolest plot stuff in the game, in terms of missions. We're back to the club, by the way.
Like, I'm underrated right now. The glow stick. Mini glow stick. But without
This is basically that boss from Mega Man X.
It is basically that
like I would expect it to be. A little less horrifying. There's a pretty great fight in Bloodborne. For that right now.
Alright, now we're talking. We've got, like, the big power-ups now.
That's helpful. And immediately you should use it. This happens.
Alright, power's back on.
For now. Assuming Yakety Sax doesn't get in our way.
Right, and it's just auxiliary power, right? So now you can save and you can recharge, but no elevators, no doors still.
Yeah.
But during
So
that
you can't
previous
just go back
sequence,
to your ship,
you couldn't even
get out.
save. Now you can at least, like,
Yeah.
go save.
Well, at least the computer is helpful. Does it like the computer we're suddenly evil? I'm not saying that won't happen. I don't know the
You're
game that
thinking
well,
a couple
but
steps ahead of us, Dana.
at least for now, it's kind of nice that it's helping you. But I have a feeling that like the other you could cause some problems there. Uh-oh. I hear footsteps! Oh my god, fast now. Oh my god. Oh man, when are you gonna lose her? Well, at least she's kind of easy to fool.
Technically, I think I could have just ran down here and lost her as well. So, you might recall these. I said that those things would hatch eventually. Notice they've hatched now. There they are up there.
Huh. Yeah. They look stingy.
And even with the upgraded beams since then, they do a ton of damage. For a brief second, I forgot where to go there, and then I was reminded. Alright, no hatches, gotta go up.
Yeah, I am digging the color in this. The other Let's Play that I'm working on right now, which we are pre-recording and doing more like Game Grump style, audio commentary over the game. We're doing The Last of Us, which is a great game, but I'm just like, also not the most colorful. You know?
Yeah, it's not the game for you if you want a colorful title.
Yeah. You should just play Overwatch, the game's very colorful.
So this is your, if I could get out of it, this is your Spore Spawn-esque boss.
Little boss, any boss name for it?
And this is not exactly Spore Spawn, but it feels a lot like
No,
that
it's
to
not
me.
Sports Spawn, but it's a unique name for the boss.
It is, yeah.
Makes you like
Good point from Danny, the organic boss has its own theme, again,
Yeah.
highlighting that difference.
in every game, we've set the Spore Spawn type boss aside musically in other ones. And even the way, you know, in Super Metroid that like the environment kind of withers around it and kind of nice. Oh, and like
I forget if you can get out. Oh, yes, you can get out this way. Good. What do you know? I'm good at this. Now, this sequence with the computer is really important. Pay attention to this.
uh-oh.
Notice there's silence here instead of the usual music.
Yeah, that's why I said uh-oh.
Now, once you get started again, it just comes back in. It's really subtle, which I like a lot. It's my opinion here, though, that as of this sentence and the long pause,
Uh-oh.
it's
my
manufacturing
sleep.
trouble
No.
from this point forward. So even if you started out as legitimate, now it's like inventing things for you to go do. I mean, it wouldn't be a science fiction game on a research station if the computer was good the entire time.
So on the subject of chat, I mean, it's pretty clear up to this point in the game. Actually, you know what? I don't even want to say that. I was gonna go for the ionized one you mentioned, but then I think back to the way the plasma beam worked in Super Metroid. If you turn off all the other beams, its main effect is to add piercing ability to your beams, but is otherwise not very different from resistant beams. So I guess you can't even really say for sure that it's like ionized gas.
Yeah, we think of it as just this like very intense substance in reactors, and
it is worth a mention that in Metroid Prime, it's a red, super hot beam that's clearly the former.
But like I've sold plasma, so I also have plasma inside me. Like, so which one is it?
Yeah,
Places will sometimes pay decent money. It can be like $50 a donation. Which certainly ain't bad, because you can just, I don't know, I'm not squeamish about like giving blood. I try to do it every 56 days when I'm able.
Doesn't donating plasma prevent you from donating blood?
Yeah, well there's different timelines depending on whether you're doing like double donate, like the double red cell donations, or you're doing plasma, or you're doing, the different types. I always kind of enjoy it. Like I can sit there. I usually bring my laptop, just sit, like, let it do its thing, and like, or whatever.
Someone earlier asked me what the most annoying segment is. A lot of people think it's this one, because you have to do the underwater stuff with no gravity suit. I love segments where they force you to navigate complex environments without Samus's powers that deal with those environments.
You have to do it first, and then you get the thing that lets you deal with it, and you're like, oh, now it's not so bad.
Right, and with water, actually, I like it a lot. I don't like making Samus run through fire. And take constant damage, unless it's clearly for a speedrunning strategy that like beginners are not supposed to figure out.
I want to know the technology behind the suit that makes it able to kind of withstand just regular water pressure. Like, how are you changing your own fluid dynamics?
Oh, we don't need to save. I forgot. We're perfect. Right?
Right.
I felt like on that note, the gravity suit is even more confusing in Other M, because in that game it just seems to actually like modify the way gravity works around you.
Yeah.
But it's still not changing fluid dynamics in any way, so it's like...
Right, like it shouldn't, even if it's just messing with gravity. Exactly. This is terrifying. Okay. It's like bleeding out of his eyes.
Yeah, this...
I'm down for that. Oh, and now it's worse. Oh my god. That thing smell.
I took a lot of damage before I figured out how to beat this boss, but I still really love this boss. It's so creepy. I love it so much for that.
I like that as you damage it, it's like sighing at you.
Oh, you're like... Yeah. You hear that? Oh god.
I will say one of my criticisms of this game is there's no reason to make these random core bosses get stronger every time. Just have it take 3 missiles and be done.
Yeah.
I've mentioned with Jarel before, like, once you know the pattern and you've proven you know it, you deserve to be done.
Right. Like, long enough for you to figure out what a pattern is, and then do it, and then anything else is just trying to artificially extend gameplay time.
There is actually a boss in Final Fantasy IV that I thought was really annoying for that reason, but it turns out it's just messing with you the entire time. It's a great boss. We'll be talking about that probably 2 weeks from now, if I had to guess. Oh wait, I can just go. No, I can't. Let's go this way.
I have to say, I think I was actually more excited about the return of Nightmare Another End than the return of Phantoon.
I agree with that. Though I will say Phantoon was pretty well done.
Yeah.
Oh, oops, I can't get out this way, can I? I do have to go the other way. I have to go this way. Yeah, I do. Okay.
So I was been responding in chat because Daniel's doing a really good job of just like pointing out, you know, we keep coming back to this organic and organic boundary that keeps getting sort of transgressed, shall we say, by these creatures, and that's a lot of what makes them terrifying. And
Really
that's
quickly,
also
I love this track.
is that a harp?
Yeah, it is.
It's very like, ooh, this is thunder, you know? We're in a cool, wondrous undersea.
It's like you're in a paradise, but a flawed one.
Yeah, there's definitely still some creepiness underneath.
So, did you notice I built up a speed charge right there? I mentioned that as important. Because if you want to get really insane, then after I activate the door down there, you can go build up that speed charge and maintain it slowly on the slopes here for about 17 speed jumps simultaneously and get out a way you're not supposed to. And it breaks the game. And
That's fun.
they found it in testing and added a special message, specifically if you do it that way. So if you get back to the end of the sector without getting the next upgrade, that can help you get out without having done it.
Oh, that's interesting.
That special message basically breaks the fourth wall, though.
It does.
As it should, right? Because that's you're breaking the game, so it breaks the fourth wall. Seems only fair.
I think I'll link it in
Yeah, that's cool.
in chat as I get to the navigation room. Let me get back up there first, the normal.
But yeah, so, you know, we keep commenting on organic and organic, and so earlier I was saying that my thesis statement for the game was the kind of computerized random intervals that are kind of larger leaps versus the real busy, intense, chromatic, you know, motion by death lot of steps. And so to get really pedantic, I'm going to say that I'm going to call the chromaticism the close melodic motion, the organic, and then the random the more very guys. And let's actually the human music making and vocality that we were tending doesn't make sense. So
Hey, Spoony Bard brings up a good point that we usually talk about with timpani, but it comes up with harp as well. I guarantee you the composers have no idea that a harp has to hit pedals to change which notes it can play. Like, they're not accounting for that at all in the slightest.
yeah.
And I was thinking, didn't we discuss this a couple weeks ago with the timpani? I'm like, if
Yes.
composers could have 50 timpanis in their songs, they totally would have.
Yeah.
Yep, for
We are
sure.
Mozart would have done it.
Just for
Yeah, we have a lot of. Even when things aren't literally impossible, we have things that are improv fast.
And this harp part, actually, I wasn't listening super closely, but it doesn't sound like the most egregious thing I've ever heard.
No, but definitely with the pedal changes. Okay, that's not complicated. A lot, yeah. Especially the earlier, we'll take a sample of a particular instrumental.
There's a way to
and
do
then
this, but I can't do it. Okay.
that makes sense. So a lot of our other streams were like, what is this instrument?
Yeah, actually, Spoony Bard is playing through Final Fantasy VI right now, and there are a ton of pieces where the winds play outside of their ranges and at impossible dynamic levels relative to the rest of the orchestra.
Yeah, how many times in our stream were we like, it's kind of weird to that?
By the way, I wish this power had been invented before this game, because I think it's really awesome. Now we have a charged beam. For the first time in the series, we have charged missiles.
That is pretty cool.
And I think that's really awesome. So, if you manage to get back to this navigation room without picking up the diffusion missiles, you get a separate cutscene. So, let me pause here and bring it up, and I'll put it into the stream.
Okay, so Spoony Bard's talking about, the stuff very near and dear to my heart with, like, transcriptions. And I'm assuming when you're saying it's driving you nuts, you're referring to the sort of, this is unidiomatic, so, or, like, what actual instrument am I going to call this problem? And I would say, and I know Kevin Burke will back me up on this, that we would suggest that you both have like a descriptive title, where you could say like, okay, since that game is aspiring to a largely orchestral sound, an operatic sound, it's trying to do a lot of symphony orchestra things. So like you can say this is acting kind of like a clarinet, but in general, I like to transcribe things by channel. So if, I was actually going to send you a couple of mine.
Right, like this is SPC1, this is SPC2, etc.
I speak about everything in terms of like which channel it is, and then from there I might in the prose descriptively talk about it as doing.
Here's the sick jump while Dana talks, by the way.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, I feel like that the coin song transcription I did for you, if I had done that idea of transcribing just like one channel to stack in the MIDI file I made for him, that it might have actually been like good. Because I had some really weird staff set up.
Yeah, there are definitely times where like roles are spread across multiple lines instead of being in a single channel, because they want to have a longer resonance per note, so that it sounds like a roll on a piano where you're then holding each note as you roll up.
And that's exactly what happened for me in
like 3 or 4 or 5 different channels. And so then, yeah, on the page it looks like a mess. In those cases, I end up doing a second one that's sort of like the edited, like condensed. Here's what it is, kind of in musical sense. But yeah, there are certainly, I have a famous measure in my disc that is, I mean, on printed fairly small on a piece of paper, it takes up like several pages. It's one measure because that was how small I had to make the units in order to actually show where all the notes were placed.
That's awesome.
It's in Dr. Mario. It's my favorite moment. So I have that version, and then I have the, okay, it's really just basically doing this kind of like weird blippy gliss thing. And so I have the one that is like, here, it only takes up one normal measure's worth of space because I just kind of omit it. And then I have the, here's what's actually happening. So I do have moments where I do both.
Nice. Here's the hidden message if you're a rock star.
Ooh. Oh. None.
And of course the answer is not many players will see that message.
But no, a lot of us have seen it because we
That's right, but we will see it.
lived it this way.
Anyway, here is the normal message as intended.
That's unusual. Huh. Okay.
Again, the
She's
silence as that types out.
Okay. This game doesn't use as many silences as Super Metroid, but they're effective when they come up. They always are.
Right. It's going to take us slightly after 11 o'clock, by the way, but we are almost done.
But yeah, I will say that I think there is merit, depending on what you're trying to do with your transcriptions, in sometimes having those unintuitive for a musician for reading. I think that those can be very helpful because I like to know exactly what's happening in what channel and when, and that's the other reason I don't tend to rely on fan transcriptions, and I like to do them myself. I kind of learned
I remember back when in the heyday of me doing Super Nintendo MIDIs for VGMusic.com, that was actually how I did it as well, because, I mean, back then I didn't really, nobody was opening my MIDIs to look at transcriptions.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't care what they saw. So I was just like, let me do this. That's the easiest way for me. And that was always one channel in the SBC to one track in the MIDI.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense that that's the easiest for sure.
And most of the time, if you see me present at conferences, you'll see me generally just to chip work, as I call it. Chip work, actually, I think the first time I did that, he tweeted and he was like cheering loudly. He's like, amazing, no one that cares about this, but I think it's so cool that you're not trying to call it an instrument. Just listing like what I'm supposed to do. NSF files. Like, technically inclined as him. He's the one I ask when I don't really know what's going on with chip stuff.
So you'll notice that the computer told me to get the upgrade, or to destroy the robot and get out immediately. Right? Don't go exploring in this sector because the SAX is tracking you. That's not true. It is not here right now.
Yakety sax!
What is true?
No entry without
Which is now what
authorization.
I call it, remember?
That's true.
Warning. No entry without authorization. Warning. No
The computer
entry
does not
without
want you going back.
authorization. Warning. No entry without authorization.
Okay, I get it.
No
Going the
entry
other way.
without authorization.
Oh, this thing again.
I hate this fight. It's actually very difficult because the water is electrified because the electric robot is inside of it. So you can't just fall down to the ground if you get into trouble.
Warning. No entry without authorization. Warning. No entry without authorization.
And who cares?
Warning. No entry
That's right, now you have the
without
wave beam that shoots through
authorization.
walls, so you can authorize yourself. Check that out.
Warning. No entry without authorization.
And now you're in the restricted zone.
Warning.
And this is the
No
coolest part of the
entry
game,
without
actually, I think.
authorization. Warning. No entry without authorization.
Now, Dana, do you recognize this room?
Warning.
Yeah.
No entry.
This is the
without
title screen of
familiar.
Super Metroid, basically.
Basically.
Warning. No
And it's
entry
that
without
because-
authorization.
They're doing Metroid research in here. They cloned it and didn't tell you.
Oh, good. Hey, guys.
And look, here's all the upgrades from Metroid 2, which when Fusion came out
Oh,
was a big
good.
deal, because Super Metroid doesn't acknowledge these guys at all. And so people were like cheering to see these in the background, to be officially part
Oh,
of the
man.
canon of the game.
Oh, man. Help me.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, are they gonna attack the other things, though?
Will soon be locked down.
yes they are.
We won't even pay attention to you.
60 seconds to isolation lockdown.
They're not paying attention to you because you have Metroid DNA
I was gonna
inside
say
you.
you're like one of them, so they're...
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so now Yakety Sax is gone, right?
That part of the station is gone. Oh, and now the computer and you are going to have a chat.
Oh. Yeah, we're gonna have a little reckoning. Yeah, well, you didn't tell me you were hiding secret Metroid rooms. So I think we're even.
I know, right?
I'm just imagining this computer having like a Siri voice most of the time.
I feel like what's probably going through Samus's head when the computer said that was like, you know how many planets I've blown up?
To get rid
Do you
of
know
those
who you're
things.
talking to? I don't think you know who you're talking to.
I like that we see Samus in the third person, which is very rare for these games.
Yeah.
Now, did you catch that line? Samus reacts, one of the SAX.
Oh, shoot, really?
Every one we've seen has been a different one, and the computer didn't tell
Oh.
us.
Jeez.
And
Oh no.
this is accurate, though. True, we have in fact seen this.
So how did they get that many suits, though? Did the whole suit reproduce asexually? I'm
Basically,
confused.
it's very confusing the way they work in this game, but they can reproduce the entire body they infected asexually
Interesting.
into like a perfect duplicate.
Okay. There are plenty of sci-fis that do like that type of body doubling. I can buy that.
So
Within the game's own internal logic, it works. Whether it works for you, generally speaking, is more up for grabs. Oh, sure, I'll pick that up. Diffusion missiles are really awesome. By the way, I know we normally end at 11. I have 2 more bosses to fight and we're done. So, we're almost there.
know how much this section looks like Torian?
Yeah, this section totally looks like Torian with the green acid as well.
We have kind of our like spree hero theme.
This is the room, right? Yeah. You have to hit those guys in the back. If you don't, they won't die.
Oh, hi! Hi, Ridley fame. I recognize you.
This version of Ridley's actually pretty easy and he's very fat compared to other Ridleys.
It's kind of slow. It's like kind of laboring over itself. I feel like in Super Metroid, it's at least bum 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 bum.
Yes, you were right about that.
Definitely keep pushing faster. The first one's definitely pushing faster. Hello. What is that?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this the first Metroid game to give Ridley 2 different pitches of his speech?
Yes.
Yeah. Ugh, it's unsettling. It's very high. It's very human.
I don't actually care for this arrangement of Ridley's theme, or the Ridley fight theme. It's a little
It has
too
that
clubbish
kind
for
of
me.
clubbiness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like we're flirting with techno a little bit in certain spots in this game. That tracks themselves cool, but they feel like missed opportunities to be here.
Yeah.
Hello, those things look fine.
These things, if you kill them, spawn the golden ones.
Are they like regurgitating acid?
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. Alright, so we're back in Sector 1 now, very quickly. I am going to go up to the navigation room and finish the game. Explorers at this point who want to go for 100% completion, in the northwest corner of this area, there's a screw attack only wall that will connect you to Sector 2, that connects you to Sector 3, and as long as you never touch an elevator, you don't have to finish the game.
Huh.
Also notice on your last trip here, this is a Metroid that's hatched into an Alpha Metroid. Recall Metroid 2 from a couple weeks ago? That was not present on our first run through here.
Oh, good.
And this area was, like, you couldn't traverse it because it's superheated before. You could come out to here, but you couldn't go any farther. Because you couldn't get down here through this heated green door. But if you come up, there's a very clear one in case you run by the first one, so you know what's up. Just so I don't lose this fight, we're going to recharge it. But all that's left is the last boss now.
We're done here.
This is a unique computer music theme, by the way.
But it's also very Torian-ish.
It is very Torian-ish. Yeah, that's a really good
Castle
point.
theme from Mario. But either way, do me. I'm never going to look at a plasma beam again the same way. Thanks to the chat.
Yeah.
It's funny that I've never even thought of it that way, the number of times that I've actually donated plasma. I think that would have occurred to me at some point, like, we use that word in different ways. Half the time in sci-fi, I feel like it gets used to like just be like a laser. You know what I mean?
I like, by the way, the
beams.
scan lines you're seeing across the back of the screen is not a filter I've put in. The game does
Right.
that in this screen. It
Because you're reading like a computer, right?
scan lines because I'm right. 'Cause
Yeah, you're reading like a.
I'm seeing a
display.
computer tablet screen, right?
You have to destroy them all before the Federation arrives. The Federation can help.
Yeah, there's a problem though. Check it out.
We fight the Borg and stuff.
I'm stuck in
That's
the
a different
room.
Federation. Open the hatch. Come on, Siri.
I don't know if people have caught it, but she talks about her
Open
fallen
the
CEO,
hatch,
Adam
Siri.
Malkovich, and she named the computer after him.
Did you hear that? When I just asked it.
No.
Again. Siri, open the hatch. Oh wait, that wasn't it. Hold on. Open the hatch, Siri.
We can't
Perfect.
hear what she says, Dana. She's not loud
Oh
enough.
no, I pressed right at the mic. She said that may be beyond my abilities at the moment.
Nice.
It's kind of perfect. Holly, can you open the hatch? She's like, I am a cat. No.
So this part is great because the message about there being 10 SAX on the station and our joking this entire stream about how many planets Samus was blown up, you knew this was how this game was going to end.
Right. She's not only going to blow up the space station, but she's going to drop the space station onto SR-388 and blow the whole planet.
That seems like overkill. Literal overkill. Like, why not just blow up the station? Why do you also... Because there's stuff on the planet to blow up, too?
The X the X came from the planet.
I see.
So, yeah, she's trying to
So
get
we're
rid
just
of
burning everything. This is like finding a spider in your house and burning the whole house down.
Yeah, this is literally genocide.
Yep.
Okay.
This last line here, by the way, isn't subtle, but I like it a lot. She mentions that that's how Adam Malkovich ended his orders to her. And at this moment, she realizes that the computer not just doesn't remind her of Adam, the computer is Adam Malkovich.
Oh, cool.
Whose mind was uploaded into the machine. Other M attempts to fill in that backstory, which could have been absolutely incredible, but it's
But
not.
Adam is a complete jerk in that game, so it just ruins it.
Right. Yeah, you're like excited when he dies. Because you're like, suck it.
Hey, the cat. Hello. Molly came to save the day.
I was talking with one of the Overclocked Remix guys, Nabil, a while ago about Other M. I actually really like the gameplay of that game. It's just the plot that gets hung up. Oh wait. Yeah, I go to the right. This is the first time that heroic theme has shown up in the major key, by the way, Dana.
She's so determined.
But I do like that the game withholds it from you the entire time.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the trick they did with both with Zero Mission and with a Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. How they had multiple variations of the main themes to play after you got all the items.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this fight is going to go very quickly one way or the other. Looks like I am winning.
Okay. Hello. That's fine. That is... You have to fight all 10 of them?
No, just the one.
Okay.
Actually?
Don't type things. You are not in the chat.
Oh, I can't get in there. I can't get in. Fine, we'll do it this way. Oh, yeah, never mind. This'll work. I get a health refill. I wanted to try and heal, but I don't need to.
Propulsion sequence activated. Planet SR-388.
Oh, hey, Ridley's name. Good again. This is also like Ridley / Worth Gaming for Things.
You'll notice the tempo is correct now, Dana.
Yeah, the tempo is correct now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I like
Yeah,
the
why
use of
would we
Ridley's
call
theme for the
lethargic
bomb
for the actual
evacuation theme,
fight?
by the way.
Lethargic for a Just work with that. This is actually a little different than it's been in some places. At least, hit the keyboard. Well,
No ship. And look, a big one.
Oh, Lord! Well, I was wondering when a moment like this was going to happen in the game.
Destination.
That's interesting that, like, was she trying to help you? Or was she just attacking because that's what she does?
I think she's just attacking the Metroid. Because
Right.
that's what Samus does, right?
Which is, you know, it's Super Metroid. It's like like, ostensibly that was like your Metroid friend, right? And like, it had a moment. But here, I think it was purely just like instinctual, and like she wasn't really trying to help you.
Right.
That was kind of a twist on that.
One wonders if we are eventually headed towards a society where we will upload the minds of people into computers for preservation. Like the wealthy, obviously.
Ha! I don't know. It's hard for me to picture simulating something that complex. Like, if anything, it might hold like data in a sense, like knowledge, and maybe have some algorithmic machine learning making connections, but it wouldn't really be the same thing.
Right.
No matter how sophisticated the procedure is, it's still, you're creating a new entity. You're not uploading the person's mind. I don't see that as being a thing. I feel like there's been Star Trek about this.
There's been a lot of science fiction written about this point specifically, actually.
Like in Voyager, when the one episode where Tuvok and Neelix merge and they turn into Tuvix, and then he doesn't want to get separated again because he's like, I'm gonna basically die, and like now, like you're telling me I don't deserve to live because you want your two women back. Like that episode's tough.
Yeah.
It's also.
By the way,
I've
this
always
is why you save those animals. Jarel's right, of course. You should save the animals.
Yeah.
And it's because he asks them to like start and move the ship out of the way of the Metroid, so Samus has a way off after she beats it.
Look how cute they are.
And this is why everybody wants a sequel to this game so badly, because it just leaves it here.
Right, now we know the Federation is like bad. Samus is against them. Not gonna work for them anymore.
I would love to have this game where Samus is but
Yeah, I want to know what Samus does next.
The next game is basically like a Tamagotchi or like a Pokemon remake, but with those creatures that she rescued. You have to like raise them, or maybe you're raising them to help you fight the Federation.
Oh, that's right. Kenji Yamamoto did help out, but he didn't compose the music.
That's right. He did sound programming for this.
That's so common too, is that you have somebody that does more just like sound implementation or
Yeah.
Sound effects.
So it is Fusion is the game that starts the tradition of like giving us ridiculous anime shots of Samus in little clothing, so we will be getting one of those shortly.
This cat is getting very saucy with me right now. Hello?
Oh.
I know, right? It's so hard to play old Nintendo games.
Oh my gosh, Molly, what have you hit on this keyboard that I can't, like, do anything? You're gonna fall
I
off
remember
my lap.
I was playing Breath of the Wild. The first time I ended up in that cherry blossom grove was, like, devastating.
Mm.
Cat is... Wait. Now, does this get more gratuitous? If you like do more?
There's a couple different poses in this outfit, but it's always this outfit.
Okay.
If you collect 100% of the items in less than 3 hours, you get the best one.
What? Define best.
The hardest to obtain, sorry. That's the most stringent requirement.
I like how she's just looking like she's just like absorbing the sun rays.
Yeah.
Just enjoying
Yeah.
getting a tan, except she's in the middle of space.
With an
It's not-
unknown feature.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that was fun.
Well, that is it for tonight's stream. Next week,
What are we
we
doing
get a
next
return to this. Have you guys seen these before?
Oh my
They're
god.
awesome.
I looked one up when you were talking about it the other day, but play it again. I didn't really catch, like, what is... You squeeze it, and you're also doing, like,
Okay.
string fingering.
So, up here on the... We'll call it a fretboard, even though there's no frets, right? Like, imagine a single string here, though, Dana. If you touch here,
Yeah.
you get a sound.
Yeah.
And then you squeeze it to be cute and open its face.
So does it make sound whether or not you squeeze the bottom?
Yes, but its sound gets louder when you squeeze the bottom.
I see. Oh God, it's too cute.
See? That's all I've got on it so far, by the way. That's it.
Oh my gosh, so fun. So next week is just Ryan streaming his automaton practice the whole time. There's no game. It's just him practicing.
I'd watch that.
Oh, I could not believe this, really quickly. It is Final Fantasy IV next week, the nice high-definition PSP remake, by the way.
Good to know.
Which is going to be awesome. I could not find an automaton video of the Bubble Bobble theme, and I think that is a tragedy, so I may be making one sometime soon.
Do
That
it.
seems like the perfect combination. How has nobody done that
These things were
before?
like born to play the Bubble Bobble theme over and over and over.
I agree. Put it on a 10-hour loop.
That's right.
Perfect.
Anyway, everybody, I'll see you all next week for Final Fantasy IV. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you around.
All right. Bye, everybody.